Welcome, everybody. It's time again for another episode of Sales Pipeline Radio with your host, the superstar of sales himself, Matt Hines. Hey, Matt.
How we doing, Paul?
Okay, I'm struggling for superlatives here. I'm reaching for new ones, and I thought, well, we haven't used that one yet. That's pretty obvious.
We haven't used that one. I have done nothing to earn that one. I think what I'm excited about is we've got guests that regularly earn and reiterate that kind of status. We've had some amazing guests here at Sales Pipeline Radio. Thanks, everyone, for joining us to another great episode. We are having a ton of fun on this show. We are excited and humbled that you're all joining us each week. If you are new to the show, thank you for joining. You can check out some of our past episodes at salespipelineradio.com. You can find on-demand access to any of our past episodes with some great presenters, great speakers, great thought leaders in the world of B2B sales and marketing. And today, very, very excited to have a good friend of mine who's based up here in the Seattle area, Norm Behar, who is the co-author of the book, The High Impact Sales Manager, a no-nonsense practical guide to improve your team's sales performance. And Norman, let's get right into it. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Matt, thank you very much for having me on your show. Looking forward to speaking with you and joining your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Norman, we've known each other for a long time now, and you've been someone that I've gone to quite a number of times, for advice from a sales management standpoint, with clients that need sales management training, that need to, improve the efficacy of the sales teams. And I was so excited when I found out that you guys were writing a book. I've been spending a lot of time with this and actually been quoting it with a lot of clients because it's, what I like, my favorite part of the description here is the no-nonsense and practical part. Like, this is not just strategy. This gets into the nuts and bolts of how to improve your team's performance. Talk a little bit about, where this book came from. Why was this important for you? And how is this book different than others that exist on the market today?
Well, I think, Matt, as you know, we have a very active blog at the Sales Readiness Group, and probably our favorite subject to blog about is sales management. And the reason behind that is that we just think sales managers can have the most dramatic impact on sales team performance. Although we offer training programs, and the training programs help develop selling skills, it's really the sales managers that are in the trenches day in and day out with their sales team.
Yep.
And all of our sales management blogs were really geared on providing very practical advice that drew on our sales training programs and our personal experience. I mean, myself and the other co-authors who are my business partners have been in sales and sales management for over 30 years. And one of the some of the input we were getting was, you guys should really write a book. And we thought about it, and we looked at a lot of the management books, the sales management books that were on the market, and they were highly theoretical. And we said, we can put together something that's really practical, easy to use, pretty quick read, and allows managers to have an immediate impact in working with their sales team. So that's what we set out to do, and we were able to really organize this in a way that we think gets to the key skills managers need to develop and implement. And, one of the things I liked about your comment is the goal was to make these, to offer this advice, offer these techniques, and allow managers to readily put them into place. And we're hoping the book is achieving that goal.
Yeah, the feedback I've had from people I know that have read it have definitely reiterated that. Definitely, gets out of the clouds and into the details very well. We've got Norman Behar today, who is the CEO and president of the Sales Readiness Group, and is the co-author of the High Impact Sales Manager. Could you quickly summarize for us, what does it mean to be a high impact sales manager? I'm sure a lot of people have different definitions of that, but for you, what are the components or characteristics that make for a successful high-impact sales manager?
So I think there's really 5 key areas that, if you think about a sales manager, they can often get kind of trapped in the weeds of being chief problem solver and what we call kind of getting stuck in a daily grind. But if they can learn to transcend it, there's really 5 things they're going to do very well. One is hire the best people and hold them accountable. So if you have the right people on your team, it's a lot easier to manage, coach, and lead that team. They're going to learn how to manage sales performance, and sometimes people they have the wrong notion. They're hyper-focused on results. And, ultimately we're measured on results, but results are backward-looking. So what we want them to do is to manage sales performance by really focusing on underlying behaviors that drive results. So that would be a second key element, is learning how to manage sales performance. A third is learning how to manage the pipeline. A lot of companies end up with bloated sales pipelines, deals that are dormant, deals that are stuck, and as a result, the managers can't produce accurate forecasts. So that's embarrassing not only for the manager, but also for the VPs and the, all the way up the organization. So being able to manage the pipeline is the third element. Fourth element is really providing personalized sales coaching. So if you think about managing performance, that's really a framework for managing a team. Sales coaching is something that can be very individualized that helps each person develop better skills and improve their win rates. And then the fifth element is really being a great leader, and part of being a great leader is learning how to motivate and inspire your sales team. So those are the 5 key elements that we've set out to address in the book, The High Impact Sales Manager.
That's great. If you want to learn more about the book, you can certainly find it on Amazon.com. It's available for purchase. You can also go to salesreadinessgroup.com. You'll find just a ton of great resources from Norman and his team, including the ability to download a free chapter of the book. So highly recommend you check that out, and at minimum, get that free chapter to whet your appetite for the rest of the book. I like your 5 keys of the effective sales manager. So let me ask the opposite question then. What keeps people from doing that? What keeps high potential sales managers from achieving that higher level of success?
So I think there's a couple of things. If you think about, where do most sales managers come from? They came from the sales ranks. So maybe a VP of sales is looking to add a new sales manager, add a new district, or maybe one of the managers is being promoted and they're looking for the next sales manager. They're typically going to look within the sales team. And they're going to look probably at a high performer and say, okay, this person really is doing a great job of selling. They'll start having some conversation. The salesperson may see it as a great opportunity. And within a relatively short period of time, they're promoted into management. But what's kind of missing there is not the fact that a great salesperson can learn how to become a good sales manager, is that it's really a different skill set. When you're a salesperson, it's really all about you. It's about your prospecting skills, your call planning skills. You may be part of a team, but the skills that you're using are really individual selling skills, identifying priorities, asking great questions, having great sales conversations. And as a manager, it's really about success through others. So I think that unless there is a mentoring or training program that really helps the salesperson, once they're promoted, understand the difference, they're likely to kind of fall back on what they know, which is selling, and which typically leads to telling other salespeople, here's how I used to do it, not very effective, versus managing. When you think about what does a manager need to do, it's setting team goals, recruiting and selecting people, coaching the individuals, the things we just talked about, performance management, leadership and motivation. So it's a different skill set. So I think that's one of the issues that holds managers back. And that's, pretty easy to address through sales management training programs, but it also requires a change in mindset. The other thing is, if you just think about managing a sales team, it's a pretty fast-paced environment. Salespeople are not always the easiest to manage. You've got also customer issues that come up. You have also meetings you need to attend. And so managers can get stuck in a time trap where almost all their time is really responding to urgent requests. And typically the problem there is that they haven't really learned how to empower others and prioritize. And so actually the introduction to our book is called Transcending the Daily Grind, and really learning how to compartmentalize this so that you're not the chief problem solver and just putting out fire after fire every day, and then by the end of the week you're exhausted and it repeats the following Monday morning. But you're learning to understand, okay, if I empower people and really put this in perspective, how do I allow enough time to do the 5 things that I'm supposed to do that really allow me to be a very effective manager?
We're talking with Norman Behar today on Sales Pipeline Radio. He's the co-author of the new book, The High Impact Sales Manager. And we've been talking a lot about, the components of high impact sales managers, the things that keep them from doing that. Clearly, there's a blueprint for how to help sales managers become more successful that you outline in the book. Before we go to break, if you could quickly just answer the question, how do you get sales reps and sales managers to more proactively invest in their own growth and success? We can put them through training, we can teach them these things. How do we get them to be self-motivated to learn and hone these behaviors?
I think that's really about a mindset and having a training and coaching culture. And unfortunately, a lot of organizations don't have that mindset. And I think what happens is, again, these are pretty fast-paced environments, and you get caught up in all the things you need to do to kind of respond to the daily needs of customers or prospective customers. And what we really want is to encourage a level of self-discovery both at the sales management and sales area. So one of the key skills for a manager is being a great coach, and a great coach can really help develop those attributes within the salesperson. We use something that we refer to in the book called the 3 A's framework, which is managers have a problem, Matt. In a lot of cases, they can't resist, as I was saying before, of going into tell mode. Here's how I used to do it. Here's what you should do. Here's what you need to do next. And that doesn't create really this motivation to learn and grow. Instead, what we really want them to focus on is these three, what we call the 3 A's. To ask first. So really ask open-ended questions, much like they would a customer. Really find out what's going on with their salesperson, what does their salesperson want to achieve, and showing the level of interest in really understanding the salesperson's perspective. The other thing we want them to do is become great listeners. Unfortunately, many managers, again, because they want to go into tell mode, they don't necessarily practice active listening, which is not only just hearing what your sales reps are saying, but understanding, the body language. Are they just saying what they think you want them to say, or do they really have true meaning behind it? So kind of the same skills, again, you'd use if you were calling on a customer to understand their needs. And then assume the best of intentions, assume that salespeople really do want to improve. And those three things will create a level of receptivity where salespeople want to engage their managers and talk about career development and really focus on development as opposed to just kind of going through the motions on a daily basis. So I think you could apply that both at the management level and at the sales level to start creating a coaching and training culture where people really do want to grow and develop.
How long does it take for the typical sales manager to sort of make this a habit? I mean, is there a period of time that you recommend people really put a focus to make this a habit? Is this an ongoing process that people are always working on?
Well, I think it's ongoing. I think that, the nature of, and I've been in sales and sales management for 30 plus years, is that when you get busy, it's much easier to tell than to coach. And so I think it does have to be ongoing. That said, I think people can develop really good coaching skills probably in about 90 days. And then if they implement those over maybe the course of a year, they're going to become part of that cadence of management. So I think it takes about 90 days to develop the skills and then apply them for, roughly a year. And when I say apply it, we kind of use a benchmark, how much time should a manager spend coaching? Probably 25 to 40% of their total time. And I think if they do that for, probably 9 months following learning how to coach, they'll become pretty proficient and become part of their cadence of sales management.
Awesome. We've got Norman Behar here today, who is the president of Sales Readiness Group and is the co-author of the fantastic new book, The High Impact Sales Manager. We'll be back after a couple commercials, a couple words from our sponsors. We're going to talk a little more about how to coach the coach, a little more about time management, marketing's impact on good sales management and sales coaching, and talk a little bit about what we've got coming up on Sales Pipeline Radio. Thanks very much. We'll be right back.
You are under the gun to generate revenue. You need your pipeline full with real deals to make your number. The Vanilla Group is the only firm that delivers tele-based lead generation programs exclusively for enterprise technology providers that get you there. The Vanilla Group achieves results 5 times higher than industry standards for outbound lead generation year after year. By utilizing their unique telesales 2.0 methodology, they make sure you're in front of the key influencers you need to be. They are an award-winning company and results are unsurpassed. The Vanilla Group supports tech firms from Fortune 500 companies to startups. To learn more, visit vanillagroup.com, spelled VANELLA group.com, or call 888-335-0340. That's 888-335-0340. Follow us on Twitter at Vanilla Group.
Whether you're producing a seminar series, users conference, lunch and learn, or exhibiting at a trade show, Validar has a solution. From capturing leads at trade shows to managing on-site registration, tracking session attendance, gathering information, and providing sponsors lead retrieval, we have a full suite of solutions for you. Since 2005, Validar has been turning corporate events and trade shows into better business. Call 888-784-2929 or visit us at validar.com.
And now back to Matt and his guest.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Will. And these half hours always go by so quickly. I know Norman did a great job earlier sort of enumerating the 5 keys to high-performance sales managers and some of the things that keep them from doing that. If you want to check those out again, you can certainly go to salespipelineradio.com. We will have a replay of Norman's comments here today. Up there in a couple days, we will also have a summary of some of his key points on our blog at heinzmarketing.com. And you can check out a lot of our other former guests on Sales Pipeline Radio as well as our upcoming guests. Next week on Sales Pipeline Radio, we're going to be featuring Martin Lindstrom, who is the author of the brand new book, Small Data. We talk so much in sales marketing about big data and the importance of having access to all the data and this deep level of data. What I love about Martin's new book is he talks about the importance of some of those subtle buying signals, some of the sort of these sometimes seemingly insignificant behavioral observations that can actually point towards trends or unmet customer needs. And so we're going to be talking a lot about buying signals, about not just big data, but the right data, the actionable data, fast data, and small data next week with Martin Lindstrom on Sales Pipeline Radio. But I want to keep talking a little bit today about effective sales management. And I want to go back to the idea of coaching, Norman. We got Norman Behar here today, who's the co-author of the book, High Impact Sales Manager. You talked about being a good coach. How do you coach the coach? What are some of the things that sales managers and other executives can do to help make their coaches more effective and help sort of, increase and reinforce the right behavior from those coaches?
Well, I think you have to think about coaching in 2 buckets, Matt. There's what I would call opportunity coaching, or what's often referred to as deal coaching, and that's the coaching that you provide when you're doing let's say a weekly review of a salesperson's pipeline. You're sitting down with that salesperson. You're looking at which opportunities are progressing from stage to stage. Unfortunately, what opportunities might be stuck or dormant. Maybe a new competitor emerged. Maybe they're having a difficult time getting to decision makers. Maybe they're not able to really articulate their win theme. So I think you have this whole notion of opportunity or deal coaching. And to develop those skills, those are really skills that the manager has developed as a salesperson because they've been in the trenches, they've closed business before, and they can actually offer very practical advice. But again, as opposed to telling people what to do, we want them to use, questions that really get to, how well qualified is the opportunity, and then digging down a little bit deeper than BANT. And I know that you've probably talked about BANT and in this and other episodes before. But beyond budget, authority, need, and timing, really getting to what is a customer's business need? What's the unique value you bring to that customer? Who are the decision makers, and what is your relationship with them? How is the competition going to try and beat you? And maybe most importantly, why you will win. So those are some of the kind of questions that managers need to start asking salespeople as they look at specific opportunities. And the benefit of that is salespeople will start asking those questions themselves. And so you're really going to start empowering and doing a better job of creating better velocity in your pipeline and higher win rates. The more difficult skill to develop is really skills coaching. And skills coaching gets to how do you help your salespeople improve selling skills, whether that's call planning skills, and salespeople often, unfortunately don't do enough call planning, and they really are not prepared with clear objectives when they call in customers, or they may not be fluent in how to manage objections or how to negotiate. And so helping salespeople develop skills really gets to learning how to assess their current level of proficiency and motivation, and then develop very targeting coaching plans. So one of the keys for the power of sales coaching and why it's the most powerful management action is that it is personalized. And so by taking the time to kind of do a intellectually honest co-assessment, both by the manager and the salesperson, of their skills inventory, and in our programs we use 8 key skill areas and 3 behavior statements in each. So we have these 24 quick assessment. You can develop very positive and focused coaching plans that are individualized for each salesperson. So I think having the tools and the processes in place are really key to developing better coaches and better managers.
You talked earlier about the percent of time coaches should be spending coaching, and I think I'd be hard-pressed to talk to any sales manager that doesn't want 25-40% of their time to be able to spend coaching. But I do find that most sales managers don't feel like they have that time. How much of that is related to the how many things are on their plate? But how do you also help sales managers get better at time management? How do you help them carve out more time to be better at spending time doing the coaching?
it's not that sales managers aren't busy. Most sales managers that I know are working far more than 40 hours per week. They're busy during the day. They often travel. They have to attend conferences. They have to prepare forecasts. They go to meetings. It's a difficult conversation, but what's really holding them back is they still are probably going way too much into reactive mode when it comes to business problems, and they have to learn to empower. So it is somewhat of a catch-22. I have to empower my people to be able to solve their own problems. To do that, I have to coach them, but I may not have the time for coaching. And I think initially it will take an increased investment of time beyond the time they're already putting in. But once they do that, it's going to have a very quick payback, because many of the things that the manager has been solving for their salespeople, the salespeople learn to solve themselves. And that, I think, just is a very conscientious method of guarding their time and making sure that they have allocated time. And that 25 to 40% doesn't necessarily need to be formal coaching. There are almost always coaching moments. So if you're working with someone on call planning, they're going on a call today, hey, Matt, I know you're going to be calling on XYZ Corporation later today. What are your call objectives? Just even a quick call-away conversation can be part of a coaching moment.
Absolutely.
So I think
we're wrapping up here with Norman Behar, who is the co-author of the High Impact Sales Manager. Highly recommend everyone check this book out. You can find it on Amazon, but you can also get a free chapter if you go to salesreadinessgroup.com. Norman, just in the last few seconds before we wrap up, if you could just talk about what the format preferences are for this kind of a training. I know you guys do a ton of sales management training as part of your practice. Sales Readiness Group has been regularly ranked one of the top sales training companies by Selling Power Magazine and others. But just really quickly, what are some of your preferred formats for doing that training? And if people are interested, how can they learn more about how you guys might be able to help them?
Sure. So the book itself is a synopsis of the training program. The training program, it really centers around a 2.5-day workshop where we cover those 5 key areas that I mentioned earlier about managing a team, leading a team, coaching a team, and hiring the best people. The pre-work typically involves assessment and customization, and then the post-training typically involves live online reinforcement and measurement. And then those programs are all custom-tailored. So in many cases, I think of one large publicly traded company where we broke that out over the course of a year, focusing on one key area per quarter. But generally, it's a combination of assessment, live on-site training, and live online reinforcement, and then post-training measurement. So we have the key elements built in. People can learn more by going to our website and taking a look at the High Impact Sales Manager. They can also email us at info@salesreadinessgroup.com or email me directly, nbehar@salesreadinessgroup.com, and we'd be delighted to provide you more information on our sales and sales management training programs.
Awesome. I want to thank our guest today, Norman Behar, who's the co-author of the High Impact Sales Manager. Great information online at salesreadinessgroup.com. Not only the free chapter, more information about their sales training programs, but tons of great insights to help your sales team and your sales management perform better. If you want to get a replay of today's conversation with Mr. Behar, you can find that on our website at salespipelineradio.com here in a couple days. We'll also have a summary of his conversation on our blog at heinzmarketing.com shortly. You can also on Sales Pipeline Radio find all of our past guests and all of our future guests. So you can check us out if you want to follow us live. We'll look forward to seeing you here every Thursday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And you can also follow us on the podcast. You can catch every episode by downloading it at iTunes or from Google Play. Until next week, that's about it for today. Thanks again, Norman, for your time. Thanks for everyone for listening. Look forward to seeing you again next week. This has been Sales Pipeline Radio.
You've been surfing the pipeline, the sales pipeline, with Matt Hines from Hines Marketing.